Yes, there are some challenges to overcome. And I wanted to also voice that I don't think any of us are against having more options. As one person said in the community, they're a tool in the tool belt. It's just that when they are going to replace or work against publicly available options, or if they have, as Audrey mentioned, numerous access barriers. I have a little presentation that I prepared with an advertisement for robot cars, robo cars as I call them. And this is a very telling advertisement that highlights disabled people. I'm first going to give a visual description of it for our blind and low vision community. It is an interview with a woman describing her experiences of transit and her excitement for autonomous vehicles. And it starts with her putting on some makeup and then her going around San Francisco and actually boarding a bus here in the rain. And then it goes on to her in a assembly shop, like a design shop for Cruise vehicles. And then it shows a couple other members from the community, including a blind person of color and a couple other folks with different disabilities using their robo vehicles. So I'm going to show that clip, and then I'm going to explain a little bit of, I'm going to dissect it a little bit together and explain a little bit more about it. And so the title card says, "Something I've Dreamed About." An accessibility spotlight brought to you by Cuise.
Anywhere, independently. To not have to ask somebody to give me a ride or wait for the bus, to not rely on any rideshare to not pick me up because I have a wheelchair. As soon as I heard that Cuise is a self-driving car company working on a wheelchair-accessible vehicle, I was like, sign me up. Nothing about us without us. Imagining a future where the wheelchair-accessible Cuise car comes and takes me where I want to go is the dream come true.
And that's just a segment of a series of ads that have been run here in San Francisco and around the world through YouTube, promoting driverless vehicles by, in my opinion, exploiting disabled voices. So let's break this down. Why is this ad, which seems like a very good thing, problematic? In my opinion. For starters, you'll notice that when this woman is going to board a bus, it's painted in a negative light. It's also shown the bus system in the rain on a cloudy day and with no interaction with people. And including the bus driver themselves, their face is not even shown in this clip. It's all darkness. And so it's this very impersonal experience of a bus, which is in fact, of course, way more sociable and way more personable than a driverless robot car where there's no human whatsoever. In contrast, it shows this person going to the factory or the assembly design warehouse of General Motors, which is the parent company of Cuise, interacting with all these people for this new prototype, which of course she'll never get to interact with once these are actually on the road. And everything is bright and colorful. I also think it's really interesting that they've got this LGBTQ pride flag, even though General Motors is actually infamous for being a pride supporting company that has actually donated over $1 million in anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ legislation. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy in that. And lastly, you'll notice that in this, they really gloss over the fact that she has the smartphone, the computer, pocket computer set up, right? That she's got the hand dexterity and the ability to do the digital payment system, to have the GPS and the app installed and everything ready to go. And of course, the privacy consent to privacy violations that we basically have to do to use these applications and these services. Another thing very much worth pointing out is that Uber has been fighting against disability rights activists to deny our right to accessible transportation. And in fact, in October, I'm showing a screenshot right now that says the appeals court backs Uber in wheelchair users' disability lawsuit. And Uber said that cities have, quote, scant wheelchair accessible vehicle supply, so we don't have to provide equal access to disabled people. So what does that mean? Well, it means that this commercial that you're seeing is for a vehicle that might not even make it to market. And even if it does, they can have it be, quote, scant supply, and the courts will back them up. So how many of these accessible vehicles would we even get? There's absolutely no mention of the cost of these vehicles. And of course, there is no mention of the harm that they have caused. So I'm showing a couple screenshots here. CBS News, 11 more people killed in crashes involving autonomous automated tech vehicles. Tech website, Waymo self-driving car killed a dog in, quote, unavoidable accident. By the way, it's a Waymo spokesperson that said the accident was unavoidable. Self-driving Uber car kills pedestrian in Arizona. Driver hits woman in SF. Then Cruise driverless car runs her over. Photo shows victim trapped. Report, Tesla autopilot involved in 736 crashes since 2019. And Tesla recalls over 2 million cars due to autopilot concerns. This was done with a very quick Google search and does not even come close to all of the problems that these robot cars and vehicles have caused for our community and the danger and new disabilities that they have created in our community. And it is very much in line, this idea that robot cars will fix everything, we don't, like she says in that ad, she's talking about issues of discrimination and having to ask for help. And rather than address the cultural issues of that and have conversations in our community, what Cruise and General Motors is really putting forward here is the idea of techno-ableism, which is a growing movement, or not a growing movement, but a growing problem. And then I wanted to highlight this book by Ashley Shu called Against Techno-Ableism, Rethinking Who Needs Improvement. And it's a cool resource, a really cool book. She's also got some podcasts for those out there that want to like just audibly listen, because this all ties into this idea that technology will save us, when in fact, buses and mass transportation have been around for a long time. And if they are given love and attention and funding, will include everyone. And last but not least, will make things affordable. There's no mention in this ad of how much that specialized wheelchair autonomous thing will cost. And of course, there's no mention of any person there to help her, the person in the ad, if they get stuck on that ramp, if they're like me and they have a bag that they're bringing that they can't lift, right? If they have a health problem while they're in the vehicle. These are questions that I have for these companies. How are they going to solve those? And what worries me also greatly is when there is a problem, like in the case of the dog that was run over, does a company spokesperson get to decide whether something was unavoidable or not? But that's my share for this, and would love to hear from